Welcome back. Sorry for the delay. I just got lazy on this video. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but man, I just got lazy, like I said. So this is going to be my first of 2 movie reviews. Hopefully the next one will be tomorrow. I'll try and make sure I get that done. Sorry about that. So yeah, this movie's been out for a while. I'm talking, of course, about Batman v Superman. The movie got a lot of hate, but is it warranted? Let's find out. So this will be a spoiler review since the movie's been out for a while. And I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and my own recommendation for it. And so, since the movie got a lot of hate anyways, I'm just talking about what I didn't like first. So, the main thing I didn't like were the villains. And in my opinion, a good villain can really raise up a movie, and a bad villain can lower a movie. And I think that's the case for this movie, is that Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, does not do a good job as far as I'm concerned. He's been compared to the Joker or the Riddler, and to me, he comes across as a different villain. He comes across as Sheldon Cooper for The Big Bang Theory. And so, because of the twitchy and social awkwardness and the really stereotypical nerd that we've seen for the past few decades, it really didn't do the movie any favors. And I was going into the movie with no preconceived, oh, he's going to suck as Lex Luthor, but he was not that good as far as I can see. I mean, we've had some really good Lex Luthors both in cartoons and in live action, and this particular iteration of it was not that good. Yeah, there were points where he was definitely acting like Lex Luthor as far as strategy and trying to get things manipulated to his advantage, but just the way he carried himself, it did not go well as far as I'm concerned. The other thing was Doomsday. Not Doomsday, the character, the way he looked. I did see some of the evolution of it in the movie, but just the fact they brought him in. Doomsday, as far as I'm concerned, should have been saved for the Justice League movie, because in the comic, even though he took on a weakened version of the Justice League, he still took on and destroyed the Justice League with one arm behind his back. So to have him reduced to this, it's not a fan of that. Not to mention, the trailers really spoiled the movie. This one thing movie studios have got to stop doing is stop ruining the movie for us. Look at Captain America Civil War, or even the Ninja Turtles movies. They haven't given away everything. Sure, they've given away some things, but they haven't given away too much, as far as I can see so far. And so when you have that happen, it kind of takes away from watching the movie. I mean, that's one of the reasons I think some people didn't really like the movie Terminator Genesis, because they gave away so much in the trailers. And thankfully I didn't watch the trailers, but still, this movie got kind of ruined by the trailers. The other small gripe was the fact that in the movie they have these folders of Batman. I'll get to Batman later though. Batman has these folders in this hard drive, and he sees them, and you have 4 different folders. And one was Wonder Woman. We saw some of her pass. But then you saw 3 other folders. Those should have not been opened in the movie, as far as I'm concerned. Those should have been kept closed for the future movies, just to tease us. Oh, there's something else going on here. What is that? Who's that symbol? Who's that? The comic book fans would probably know it, especially the hardcore comic book fans. But even some of the ones that are into it, but not too hardcore about it, may not know some of those symbols. So the fact that they gave it so much, they showed all 3 of them, especially there was a really powerful moment with one of them that it really felt like it should have been done in its own movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm talking, of course, about the Cyborg one. Just that scene in Cyborg's folder, if that had been kept out of the movie and just kept it only in that specific movie, it would have been so much more impactful than what it was in this movie. they try to do a little bit too much, like other movies have done. But the other thing is the fight itself. Even though I like the fight, and I'll talk about it later, this happens a lot when you have Batman versus Superman. The writers, whether it's movie writers or cartoon writers or comic book writers, they always have to make sure Batman is on top. He cannot lose at all, not even to the Man of Steel. I mean, I've said this to my friends and I'm going to say it right now. Superman may be the most overpowered character in comic books, but Batman is the most protected character in comics. No one is allowed to ever have one up on Batman, at least not for long. In the end, he always, even against people like Superman, he should have lost this fight as far as I'm concerned. And the thing is that this is definitely based on, at least the Superman-Batman fight was based on the Frank Miller comic. And even in that one, you have a Batman that's gung-ho and just going to take down Superman if the last thing he does. And then you have Superman who doesn't want to fight Batman. And it really throws off the balance of this fight. And you kind of in a situation where, yeah, of course Batman's going to win because Superman isn't really trying to fight him. And the way that Luthor got him into the fight was pretty cool, and I liked the fight itself, but I just didn't like the fact that they have to protect Batman. Speaking of Batman, let's talk about the good stuff in this movie, which is Batfleck. Ben Affleck as Batman. He was awesome in this role as far as I'm concerned. He was really good. And I know a lot of people, even some of my family members, were saying that, yeah, they didn't think Batman was going to be good. They thought Ben Affleck was going to suck in this role. And I even got a message after one of my cousins watched the movie. He said, yeah, you're right. Ben Affleck is the best part of this movie. And he is. Ben Affleck really does a good job of portraying an older, more hardened, and more ruthless Batman. And he does a good job in that. And I have to say, he's one of the best Bruce Waynes that I've seen as well. Because you see certain actors are good at being Batman, but their portrayal of Bruce Wayne is so-so, and then vice versa. Except for, of course, George Clooney, who was just bad at both. But Ben Affleck was really good at both being Batman and as being Bruce Wayne. The opening sequence with him, it was well done. I really enjoyed it. And Gal Gadot, I enjoyed as Wonder Woman, and the reveal of her as Wonder Woman in this movie was done well. But again, I would have liked to have not seen her in the posters or anything like that. Just have her debut as, oh, it's Wonder Woman, and then yeah, giving away too much. Superman, he was good. I like Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman because it's a Superman that doesn't know if what he's doing is right, and he's questioning himself. Should I be involved? How much should I be involved? And there's a really cool scene where he goes to Congress to answer for what happened in Batman in the first movie, in Man of Steel. And I like that he was definitely wrestling with his conscience of what he did and all the stuff that's been leading up to this movie. So the fight itself was actually well done. It wasn't all shaky camera. I don't really like shaky camera. And it was kind of like The Dark Knight in the sense that the camera was pretty sturdy. There would be a couple of quick edits, but then for the most part you could definitely see the fight as it's going on, and it doesn't take away from what you're watching. It's not shaky or too many quick cuts. I really like that. The fight itself was done very well. You saw Batman in that Bat-mech suit, and it looked pretty badass. It was such an interesting way of presenting the character, and also I definitely felt that they were doing some good stuff to promote future movies. It was kind of like Amazing Spider-Man, is that they're setting stuff up, but you're kind of worried that it's going to not go anywhere, because what happens if the series is canceled or there's no other movies. So it's unfortunate when that happens. So final verdict. Do I recommend this movie for people watching this? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something like what we've seen in comic book movies recently, action but very jokey, sarcasm and quick wit and that sort of thing, I don't think you're gonna like this one. Not if you're looking for something a little more serious, and that's what this movie is. It definitely takes itself a lot more seriously than, say, Guardians of the Galaxy or even some of the Iron Man movies. This one is definitely a serious movie. And if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll like this one. And I think it all comes down, for the most part, of whether or not you liked Man of Steel. So if you liked Man of Steel, I think you're going to want to watch this movie, and you'll probably want to buy it on Blu-ray. If you thought Man of Steel was so-so, you might Redbox it or Netflix it here and there, but you wouldn't own it. And if you really didn't like Man of Steel, you probably are either going to just watch the movie once and then forget about it, or you're going to just skip it on altogether. And I think one of the reasons why people are so hard on this movie is that we as fans of Batman and or Superman have been wanting this movie for decades. I'm not kidding. I've been reading Superman and Batman for about close to 20 years, and I've been wanting to see them take each other on. Even in the 90s, there was the Batman and Superman cartoon, and when they finally came together as one movie, I was really looking forward to it. I wanted to see it. And so I think we were kind of really looking forward to this movie, and if it wasn't completely awesome, if everything wasn't 100% awesome, no problems, then I think a lot of people are going to have problems with it. And since this movie was only good instead of awesome, I think that left the movie wide open to be hated. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Did you like Batman v Superman, the sequel to Man of Steel? Did you think this movie was better than Man of Steel? Where do you think the story goes from here? And are you looking forward to Suicide Squad? I am. So I'll have one more review up tomorrow, hopefully. And until then, later.